Hey guys, Argyle Alligator here, and I know that I've been covering a lot of Total War Warhammer on my channel lately, and I kind of wanted to explain myself on that because I feel that a lot of the people who have followed my channel in the past and have been subscribers to me for a long time don't really know what to expect from this type of content, don't really understand it, or it's not their type of game. And all of those are totally valid reasons, totally understandable, but I will continue to cover this game because I really love it. I'm a huge Warhammer fan, and I just really like stuff like this. I think it's really cool. So this video's purpose is to kind of explain some basic tactics and kind of give you a ground level understanding of this game so that maybe you can appreciate the content a little more, and that there isn't such a divide between the information I have from playing this game and other Total War games and the information that you have from never playing Total War, not caring about it, or don't understand it, or are totally new to Warhammer. So I kind of just want to get into some basics here as I move these guys around. So I've just got 4 units with my Lord here, and I just kind of want to explain everything. So straight up, I'm doing a custom battle, and that's a battle that I set up the map and I set up the units to be placed in it. I do not control the enemy unless I'm playing online. They're just a simple orc army with goblins. Now, you always have to have a lord. This is a basic lord called General of the Empire. He's just a standard guy. There's legendary lords with names like Karl Franz and Balthazar and things like that. You've probably heard me name drop stuff in other videos like Manfred and whatever. Those are just legendary lords from the lore of Warhammer who have names. Now, this is just a generic guy. All of the playable races have generic lords that are cheap to use, and essentially they have these different abilities just to buff your troops, and they have a range. This blue circle around him is the range in which his abilities can be used. And they have a number of ones that do charge bonuses, speed, attack, defense, leadership, which means your guys will not get routed when a lot of them die. Routed is when the flags flash white and the units will uncontrollably run away. So that's kind of like just the ground level stuff with the Lord. Now, these are spearmen. They are melee units on foot. They are infantry. And you really want melee to be your front lines, especially when you have something called missile infantry, which are ranged. So a basic tactic to do is to take your melee infantry and kind of space them out and put them in the place of a wedge. I like to go 3 rows deep. I think that's a pretty good amount. And then you want to have your melee, or excuse me, your missile behind them. And you can see in the telegraphed yellow cone in front, that is how far they can shoot. If there were to be a line in front of them before the cone begins, that means anything beyond that line cannot be fired. That really only happens with artillery or units that have some kind of explosive ranged, like miners with blasting charges or things like that. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this wedge formation, and then these are my cavalry. Cavalry are another type of unit that are very fast. They're used to charge. There's missile cavalry as well, which are used to harass and flank, but those use a lot more micromanagement, so I don't really like them. But what I do is I set my cavalry off to the side to use for harass purposes, and I like to keep them in a firm block so that they can have multiple waves of charge when they run into infantry units. My Lord I will place right behind the line because the Lord is usually a really good fighter, but you don't want him routing because that will make all of your troops have a lower leadership. So I'm going to map all these guys to 1, and I'm going to click this thing that says toggle lock, which is going to keep them in this formation. I'm also going to push guard mode, which means that they will not chase routing units and break the formation. I'm also going to map these to 2 so that I can push them easily. So this is a basic formation that I use. I'm not the best Total War player, but I have a ground level understanding enough to be competent. So as we start the battle, I'm on defense and they're on attack. And these goblins are going to rush me, which is perfect for my wedge formation. My wedge formation will stop flanking from a degree. Now, flanking is when they would attack me from the side or the back and expose my units. This way on the front in a wedge, I have a better chance of not being flanked. Now I'm going to send my cavalry off to the side. Usually I like to hide cavalry in trees to keep them away from enemy line of sight, because if I pull them off and they notice, they might redirect units to stop. The other thing about cavalry is spear units are good at protecting against charges from cavalries, and that includes pikes and halberds as well. Spears are also good against large things like monstrous infantry. Swords are better against spears, to my knowledge, because they attack much faster. So if you had a group of spearmen attack a group of swordsmen, the swordsmen will probably win. Now I'm going to move these cavalry to the back lines and have them charge in from the back and expose the flanks of these goblins as they approach me. Now, they're a pretty weak force. Goblins have low leadership, which means that they rout easily, get scared easily, and they're not that great of fighters. I just really wanted to demonstrate. So they're coming into the cone of action here, and the crossbowmen are going to start firing into their lines. You want the crossbowmen to never be touched so they don't stop attacking. I'm going to send these guys in to charge from the rear as everybody holds. As the melee charge is coming in, I'm going to put up a stand your ground, which adds leadership and protects against melee attacks. Now, they might try to flank me because it looks like they're going the long route, which would be nice if my knights could come around. It looks like they're going for the flank as the warboss cut through my main units. So they're going for a bit of a flank. I'm going to try to redirect them into a tighter form and hold these guys here. I'm also going to move the crossbowmen back so they're not in the way, as my knights are still on their way for the charge. I'm going to try to buff these guys with as many things as I can just to keep their leadership up. They are getting attacked on a lot of fronts here. But the knights should make a difference as they come for the charge. And we watch this happen. They're going to chuck these goblins around, and they are flanking the goblins essentially as they're being pincered here. And my other spearmen are just like literally holding the line against them. My lord's not doing anything, which is a bad sign, because he should be attacking their lord to stop this kind of stuff. They've initiated a leadership thing. I'm going to have my guys here help them out as this group is routing. See, their flags are turning white. They are routing and running. I can have my knights charge them down, but that really wouldn't be smart. I'm going to have them attack that lord. Seems that two of my groups have already routed as well. So when units rout and your lord is still around and you have other units that haven't routed yet, they can come back from routing like these guys are. They're turning around and getting sent back into the fray here. I think they're going for my crossbowmen, so I'm going to reposition them. And this group has come back from routing, so I'm going to send them back into the fray. This group as well. My Reiksguard will attack them. So there isn't this much micromanagement in a bigger battle with units that would not rout like this. The thing is, though, we have such little units, and they're all kind of evened out except for the knights. So there is going to be some kind of routing going on. I think my lord has also died, which is a really bad thing to happen, because the lord is the guy that keeps the army together. So I'm going to try to kill their lord and keep them together. You can even see the debuff that the lord has recently died, which means the leadership is down on all units right now. So hopefully if I can kill their lord, it will even out the playing field here, as we can just try to get him. But lords are really good anti-infantry. He's shaken and sustained damage. He's not going to be able to run, so if we can just kill him, that would be ideal here, as this goblin troop is coming back or debating to do it. Their lord is trying to rout. Send these Reiksguard after them. And we've won because we've killed the lord and all units have routed. You can win by routing all units at the same time, or completely decimating the army, or killing a substantial amount of them enough to cause everyone to rout. So those are just some basic tactics. I'm sorry if a lot of it sounded like rambling or gibberish. I'm trying to do it at the same time as micromanaging everything. But that's kind of just a simple way that this game functions. And I hope you kind of have a ground level understanding when I say things like melee infantry or missile cavalry or missile units, armor piercing, stuff like that. I hope this was helpful, guys, in your understanding of Total War Warhammer. This is a game that I really enjoy, and with mods coming out and DLC expansions already being planned, I plan on covering this game a lot more, and I hope you guys will enjoy that content from me. So, that's pretty much it, and I'll catch you next time.
Go ahead and subscribe if you like the video, and if you really like this one, you should watch all the rest of my other videos. I've got all these different social media outlets that I use occasionally. You can follow them if you want to get in contact with me. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time.